Hello and welcome to another video. And this time is to talk about a potential theme that may be useful in some circumstances or maybe like any other normal theme in some other circumstances. But I came up with the idea when I was doing the Lacus guide, the practical part, and I tested it. I wasn't able to get it as to perform as good as I wanted to because of the levels of my characters and so, as well as the enemies on the arena. But I'm here to quickly explain it. It's a theme that, at the very least, depends on two characters. One is the SR version of Entova, that is this one, and is mostly because of her ultimate. And the other character that this team might depend on is Lacus, and it's also because of her ultimate. So, what is this team, or what does it? What is the thing about it? I think it's, well, I could call it like a reset team, and it's a team to spam the leader skills from Ainz or whatever other supreme being that you're using. And I tried to give two examples on the last two videos where I was showing different teams, but I didn't quite get it. Here I'm just trying to say it like in a theoretical way. And first off, it might include the normal Supreme Being, preferably the normal line South Gown, the one that everyone has from the tutorial and so. And the idea is that when you use this Supreme Being, you have the perfect preparation skill that basically, as soon as the battle starts, he will either have 10, 15, or 20 action points, and either you might have negative burst as your first skill and then any other that you want, or you may have two skills that are, cheaper than that, like the Dragon Bolt or the Grasp Heart. So, uh, what happens is that when you start the battle, you throw a skill thanks to perfect preparation. You use this, and in my case, for example, I could use negative burst. I attack the enemies, and then that depletes all the action points from mines. My very first turn, in my case, because of the speed of my characters, will be for this Entoma. So, what I do is that I throw her ultimate skill, and her ultimate gives her another action, that means another turn. So, after her ultimate, Ainz gets 2 action points. Then Entoma gets a second turn, and there I can do whatever I want. I can throw the basic attack or the skill that shocks the enemies. It doesn't really matter. And then that will give Ainz another 2 action points. So that's 4 action points. And then I could go for Lacus, for example. Let's say I upgrade her speed or something like that. Her ultimate is another, skill that gives an extra action or an additional turn. It says here. So that's another 2 action points. So Ainz now has 6. And then after her ultimate, she has another turn. So again, you can throw whatever you want, the basic attack or the floating swords. That's her second turn. That's another 2 action points. That means Ainz already has 8 action points, and you only have used 2 characters. And you still have another 2 characters. That means another 4 action points for Ainz. So a total of 12 action points means that Ainz is able to immediately, on the last character that you have on the team, he's immediately able to uh, throw, for example, another Dragon Bolt. Or, for example, if you didn't throw it the negative burst at the start, you could have thrown the Dragon Bolt at the very start, and then you could throw the negative burst at the end to do the extra damage when all the enemies already have the multiple debuffs on them. So negative burst hits even more, and throws their turn meter back for each debuff they have. Whatever you prefer. If you want more damage at the start, negative burst. If you want more, turn meter delay for the enemies or turn meter reduction, then you throw negative burst at the very end. But that is, one possibility. You could also use the grasp hard instead of any of the other skills that I said, or at the very start, instead of, for example, throwing negative burst, you could use Entoma ultimate and then whatever skill from her on that second turn of her to immediately give Ainz 4 action points. Sorry, and then with those 4 action points, you may use any other character that you have like great speed or may allow you to have the turn of your entire team before the enemy. Like for example, this solution right here. Not only because her passive and ultimate can throw the enemy to mirror back, but also because the captain skill is able to throw the enemies to mirror back a lot. So you could add solution there to the mix, and then you have a turn with Entoma or and then solution or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. It's a total of 6 action points before the enemy plays, and then you already have perfect preparation giving you 20. And then because solution captain skill, all the enemy turn meter gets thrown back, and when it gets thrown back, your other characters are more likely to play. So let's say that after you play solution, she throws her skill, throws the enemy's turn meter back, you play Entoma, gets the ultimate, the extra turn, uses that extra turn, then you have another character. Let's say that you have a tank, for example, or something like that, something that plays into them. Could be Cicita. So she plays, and thus another 2 action points. At this point, we have 8 action points. Then you have Lacus throw the ultimate. So you throw the ultimate, you have a total of 10 extra action points at this point. So you could throw the fallen down skill from the Supreme Being on the last turn of your team. You could throw fallen down at that moment, and then you still have the last turn of Lacus to do even more damage. And that could lead you to, a burst to the enemy team. And it will play into this team because this team does mostly magical damage, and Shizu makes the enemies vulnerable to magical damage, and Fallen Down is purely magical damage. So that's the team, like you use Entoma and Lacus to have the resets, the additional turns, to gain more action points, and the extra action points will allow you to basically spam Ain's skills. And because you have Shizu on this team, for example, what she does is that she reduces the cooldown of the ultimate of your ally. So Lacus and Lacus and Entoma are gonna be able to spam her ultimates more often and get more extra actions and then more attacks or leaded skills from mines. That's the team. And if you use the first formation that I said, negative burst and then Dragon Bolt is gonna play into the synergies with Entoma because Dragon Bolt can put shock, and if the enemy already has shock, it's gonna trigger it. And Entoma can put shock on the entire enemy team at the same time in the same action. So you shock all the enemies, and then you trigger it again on the last turn with Dragon Bolt. So there's the synergy. I'm gonna try to make more combats to show that theme and how it works. And yeah, I'm just gonna try to make it work because sometimes it doesn't work because I don't have the characters maxed out. In this case, I don't have, for example, Lacus maxed out or the solution. But I'm gonna try it. So that will be it. And if someone wants to try it, just do it. I think it's gonna be a little bit fun. So yeah, with nothing else to say, thanks for watching or being here, and until the next time.